All right. Good afternoon, everybody. Afternoon. I see folks joining here. Good Monday, the 27th of January. Excited to see everybody and excited to dig into today's topic. I have been looking forward to today for a long time. In fact, we've done several of these in person. And after each one, somebody's come up and said, "Oh man, I want my friend to hear this, or I want my son to hear this, or I want somebody in my office to hear this." So it's been fun to know that we had this month's training all centered around vision. So I'm excited to dig in today, guys. So we'll let everybody get joined. Numbers still climbing here. Drop in the chat real quick where you're coming from and can you hear me okay? Always want to make sure on these one-way communication events that I'm coming through audio is good. Can somebody drop in the chat that you can hear me? And welcome, welcome. Awesome. Thank you, Aubrey. Where y'all coming from? All right. Awesome. Thank you, Tanya. Chesapeake. Fantastic. Cool. Etta, thank you. Sweet. Maryland. Awesome. I think we got a New Jersey person on here. Awesome. Awesome. Baltimore. Cool. Well, fantastic. People are still joining, so we'll give it another 30. Annapolis. Awesome. Give it another 30-ish seconds. Got a lot of ground to cover. One thing I did want to make mention of real quick is the YouTube channel. So, on this one, the Energy for Sales Monthly, we make this available for your real estate agents, your loan officers, and so we have had, title companies ask, "Hey, can I invite my business partners to your, the monthly technology and marketing and sales?" And that one is so tailored down and geared down towards our title agents in the Mid-Atlantic. And I'm so blessed to be able to work with so many attorneys and title companies throughout the region. But we do a lot of in-person trainings with real estate and loan officers, and we get asked, do you have a virtual that we can invite some of them to? This is it. This is the one. So the fourth Monday of every month, we get on and we do an Energy for Sales training. We call it the Energy for Sales Monthly, and we get on. The other thing about this call is we build about an hour of content and we leave about 30 minutes for Q&A. So anytime during the presentation, or even if it's completely off topic, if it has to do with sales, even if it's maybe a topic you want to dig into in the future, the chat is for you guys. So I want to just extend that here at the beginning of the call to use the chat if you have anything as related to sales in the real estate trifecta, real estate, mortgage, or title. Drop it in the chat because we love coming to that at the end of the call, answering those questions and or taking your feedback and building into a future training. So the consistency is what's key here. And that's why every fourth Monday we get on, we bring a topic that we're hearing or that we're seeing is really, taking hold, or just something we bring to refresh. Somebody asked me the other day, can you please go back over the sales sequencing piece? And so if you're listening, you're like, what's the sales sequencing? We did an in-person training several times last year throughout the region. And we together with you built a sequence from step 1 through step 12 when it comes to a brand new prospective client and how to get them to engage faster and convert, like close with you faster. And it's all through human, like rehumanized connection. And then we layer in technology with that, but like not an automation. This is a very scalable system that you can then go and run with for 90 days with like 30 of your most hot opportunities. And that one really was a big hit. So we've had people say, can you help us? We built half of it. We need to build the rest, or we were in the training and we haven't really built it yet. Can you do that one again? So anything you've heard in the past you want to bring back, as you know, AI and everything else is changing so rapidly. We will do that. So anyhow, just wanted to say Happy New Year, kind of set the stage. talk about this call and who it's for, and then also how the two-way communication can happen through the chat. We want to hear your questions. And then David, my sales mentor, who we've been working with for like 10 years, he's taken on new team, a whole new team. And so he's going to be joining a few times this year. But then we're going to get Andrew on the call this year, and then we're going to bring a couple other sales leaders, either from our industry or in other industries, so we can get different perspectives. But we're excited. So let's jump in. January is here, and today we're going to dig deep into an energizing vision. Energizing vision. And the word vision obviously highlighted here. We're going to spend some time building out a format that is not about my steps and processes. I'm going to give some framework, some neuroscience, and a lot of motivation today for sure. And here we are in January, right? And hopefully where you're at, it's warmed up a bit, but it's been cold. Let's be honest, right? It's January. And we're going to talk about what's the vision? What does the vision look like? And then dig into a 3-step framework to ensure that you achieve your goals in 2025. So who's ready? Does that sound good? All right, let's dig in. And then again, I mentioned the YouTube channel, and at the end, I'll put the QR up for the registration for next month and future months as well. So let's get this thing going. I like to say our persistent thoughts become a reality, and I'm not the first to say that. Philosophers for hundreds of thousands of years have said that what we think about, we become. I think about the book by William James. As a person thinks, their reality is what the result is of that thinking. So my question to all of us would be, what are we envisioning each day? Are we going and growing toward our vision? What are we daring to believe possible? And then further, have we ever strategically crafted a whole person goal-aligned vision? And I would just ask this question real quick. Has anybody ever been involved in like a vision board or a dream board exercise? I know this is very popular in the real estate world. I know a lot of brokerage owners that I'm friends with, they'll put one on each year for their team. Maybe where you're at, you've done some form of vision board or dream board. Just drop in the chat if you've ever done one, or if you haven't, just drop a no. Just a quick yes or no, just so I kind of get a feel for where everybody's at. Yes, cool, awesome. A few weeks ago, awesome. Tanya, yes, nice. A few weeks ago, you did a vision board event. That's fantastic. Cool. Scheduled for one in February. Awesome. Neat. All right. Good stuff. So while you guys are answering on that, one thing that I've done for several years now is I've brought to the market, in amidst all the sales training, when I work with any prospective client, or whenever I work with a client and it's, hey, where do you want to go and grow? I always start with vision. And it's very interesting to me to see how many from like an executive level in a company have some idea of a vision, but it's not a clearly defined, articulated vision. And when I work with sales teams one-on-one, like understanding a vision when it comes to like their sales career, their role as a trusted advisor, what does that look like? What are you envisioning for yourself? The clarity is oftentimes lacking. And it reminds me of the Zig Ziglar quote that says, we can be a wondering generality or a meaningful specific. And I don't ever want to bring an energizing vision topic or an event from a judgmental standpoint, or a here's my way and this the only way standpoint. That's why I asked the question, because I think all of us actually have a vision. All of us have an idea of where we want to go. But I think that there is some absolute neuroscience that would encourage us to take it to the next level, to almost get weird, like to almost make others weirded out by the level, the intensity that we give to our life vision. And I think some of us just haven't been given the permission to do that. And it's certainly not something that you hear and it's encouraged, all over like corporate America. It's not that, hey, we're doing a vision retreat. Oftentimes the executive level will go away for a vision retreat and they're literally mapping out goals and how to scale the company, right? That's where we think about vision. And we think, CEO in charge of vision. What I want to encourage all of us today is this. I am the CEO of my life. You are the CEO of your life. And whatever roles you find yourself in, whether that's a husband or a wife, a father and a mother, an aunt or an uncle, a cousin, a community member, a sales leader, a marketing manager, a business growth executive, whatever the roles that you find yourself in, have you crafted a whole person goal aligned vision? So, this is obviously an event that I do in person. If you guys, I'll just segue here real quick. If you guys are interested in this, and I'll say this, it's not boxed into January. I have done this in July. I've done this in October. I've done it in March. Like whenever or wherever I can, I want to empower and give permission for people to go extreme on what they can do in their life. Somebody said we underestimate what we can do in 10 years and we overestimate what we can do in a year. And it's so true. And a lot of times, because of that overestimation, we fall down on our goals early in the year. And it's not something that just is affecting any one of us. I think all of us face that. Why? Well, we get overwhelmed by what's ahead of us. We get overwhelmed by the quotas put on us. We get overwhelmed by, oh, spring market's here. Or, oh, I got to do this. Or, man, I just left this event and man, I took all these notes. I want to implement something, but oh, I got a full inbox, right? We're constantly pulled, not to mention juggling sicknesses that are going through in school that's delayed because it's so cold, whatever. And just life happens. So what keeps us on track with all of that ahead of us? And also, what about everything behind us? Some of what's behind us is good, and some of us are like resting on our laurels. Some of us are resting on our success, and some of us have had just a horrible year behind us, some massive sickness or death or circumstance or trial. And I just wanted to tell you right now, I see you. Whatever it is, I see you because I've experienced both. I've experienced severe depression in my life. I didn't even want to get up. I just want to curl up in the fetal position and not even get up. The one that you love closest to you is diagnosed with a chronic disease. What do? Right? How do you find the power, the strength to get up, to rise up, to dream again? Maybe you've just come through something yourself and you're finally in the clear, but you're like, I've just been in fight mode for so long, I don't even know how to dream again. Right? Or maybe you're entering I talked to somebody at our Energize conference last week, and she said, I've been doing like operations for 12 years, and this is my first year in sales. This is new for me. And she was just eating up everything. And it was amazing. I loved her attitude and her like persistence and like, I'm going to get this, I'm going to learn. And she want to learn everything. But maybe that has you freaked out. Like, this is a new role for me. I've been put in this new role. Whatever the case may be, I want us to remind ourselves today, January the 27th, 2025, that what lies behind us and what lies ahead of us are tiny matters to what lies within us. What lies within you? What's a dream that you've wanted to go after, you started on, you've put to the side, you've procrastinated on, or somebody said was not a great idea? And you listened to it. Or maybe it wasn't somebody outside of you. Maybe it was a voice inside of you with some past trauma saying you can't do this. And we've let that head garbage get to us, and we've killed the voice inside. Or we've quieted it. I don't think you can ever kill it. It's always there. We've quieted it. What is that? What is the thing within you? What do you want to achieve? What's something you heard recently and it's like, oh, if only. What's the thing? Here's what I like to ask. What's the thing that brought tears to your eyes recently? What's the thing that gave you goosebumps recently? Chances are that thing is what you're supposed to go after. It's what you are designed for, called to, created for. What is that thing? What's that dream? What is it? Right? Because everything outside of us are tiny matters compared to what's within us. So as we get into this, I like to throw a little humor in here, because honestly, goal setting typically and resolution making typically fall flat by the end of the first quarter, if not sooner. Why is that? Why is that? I say we have to flip traditional goal setting on its head. The reason for that is I believe we get goal setting ahead of vision making. I'll share why. But real quick, did you guys know that last Monday, Martin Luther King, also Inauguration Day, it aligned this year. Did you know that was considered Blue Monday? Yes. And if you, not to get political, but if the person you wanted didn't win, it could have been Blue Monday just for that, right? um, but here's the statistic. Blue Monday is real every January because by the third Monday, the resolution or the Planet Fitness subscription or whatever it is, it's faded away. We found ourselves more days out of the gym than in the gym. While the first of the year started, we had grand plans. By the third Monday, we've had more days outside of our goals than inside of our goals. And if you're crazy killing it right now, give yourself a pat on the back. If you have more days keeping your goals than not keeping your goals, you're crushing it. You're awesome. But statistics tell us by the end of the first quarter, most people fall off the resolution and goal setting wagon. Okay. Blue Monday is a real thing. The other reason why Blue Monday, the third Monday of the January, is real is because the credit card statement came in from everything we spent on the holidays. It's true. Mine did. Did yours? And listen, here's the thing. On a very serious note, the suicide hotlines, they go crazy. That's the hottest day for them. Okay, so it's real. Why? Because it's oftentimes also the coldest. And we all know how that feels, right? It's almost a hibernation. It's as if nature's, saying it's time for new life, but there's like this cold, like this like dying off season. And it's true, it's winter. So how do we stay hot? How do we stay fired up? And better, more importantly, how do we do that for everybody that our life affects? We're in sales today. This is sales training. What does this have to do with it? Because we have been given a gift in sales that we get to impact. We get to communicate on a regular basis. We get to make contribution to other people's lives in probably a more amplified way than most other roles. Now, if you're looking there on the left side of your screen, this could be a very good cause for Blue Monday for you. This is the real estate agent that said you've been spending so much of my time, but you chose somebody else already. You ever spend like all this time with a client and then you see the post on Facebook, your real estate friend that you go to church with, got them as a client. You're like, I did all the work for you, right? It's real. It happens. So how do you stay in an abundant mindset? How do you stay fueled? All right, let's jump in. It starts with vision. It starts with vision. If we get vision before goal setting, if we flip it on its head and realize that the faculty or state of being able to see, which is vision, or the ability to think about or plan the future with imagination or wisdom, this is vision, must precede goal setting. Then we start seeing everything differently. And here's why. Somebody said, get the who before the do. Get the who before the do. And see, vision has everything to do with who you are, your being, the who. Vision is the end state. Vision is who you're becoming. Vision is who your clients are becoming with you. Vision is who your clients are becoming when you ask about their vision. But everything we do, that's the goal. Those are the goals. Those are the specific measurable goals. But unfortunately, our vision is less than clear, and our goals are somewhat clear, but they lack any bit of the end state. And so what fires us up from the inside, we think needs to be motivation. We need to be motivated. I need more motivation. We don't. What we need is more energy, the capacity to achieve a result, to become our vision. So while we have grand designs for goals, we get right back into the rut of things, and our internal self-talk talks us out of it, scares us from it. We could be at a rally and everyone's like, we set these big goals. Anyone hear the BHAG, big, hairy, audacious goal? We set it. And then we come away and our self-talk or our calendar, busy calendar, or the boss that we work for, they have different plans for us. And we don't have the courage, or we don't find the courage to share why we need this goal so bad because we didn't first find the imagination on what it looks like when it's done, and what it looks like for our company when it's done, and what it looks like for us and our family when it's done. And we haven't found the wisdom on how to apply it, how to actually go after it. Sometimes we want the goal so fast that we overestimate, again, what we can do in a year, and we underestimate what we can do in 10 years. And because we didn't get it done in a year, we get discouraged and we give up. Instead of giving ourselves space, and see, this is what vision does. It gives us space. It gives you the ease. It gives you the peace of mind. It gives you the rest. Okay? I will tell you that the times I've fallen down as a sales professional in my life is when I let the goal, I let the thing to do drive me so hard that I got too intense with my team, that I used the wrong tone with somebody I love. The intensity was the thing that shut my goal down, that killed the goal. Why? Because I didn't remember the vision. I didn't remember what it was that I was even going after. I got so focused and bogged down in the what that I forgot the why. It's powerful when we start to think about the vision is everything. Vision must precede the goal. Being ahead of doing. Who am I becoming with this goal? Somebody said if you want your people to build a ship, don't take them first to the stack of lumber. Rather, take them to the ocean and show them the glory of sailing the seas. And so today I want to take us to the ocean of life and try through the eye of faith to see the glory of what can happen if we just dare believe. All right, who's ready? If you're ready, you're still with me, drop it in the chat. I'm ready. Let's go. All right. Hopefully, the goal setting and the vision making are both now becoming categories for us, not just goal setting. All right. Now, let me tell you a quick story. This is my beautiful family. And we went up last year to the Northeast, and we explored 9 states. I think the kids are up to like 31 now. We're going to do an RV trip at some point and go hit some of the big out west states. But we knocked about 9 off because who can't in New England? You can drive for 30 minutes and get 4 states. I mean, it's cool. But no, we went up to see the fall foliage. And while we were up there, we said, let's go over to Plymouth Plantation. And if you've never been to Plymouth Plantation, you've got kids, I highly recommend it. Everybody there's in costume. You get to interact with the pilgrims, and that you just can't break it. My son actually made a goal. He's like, I'm going to try and stump one of them. So he asked about a hot dog. They didn't know what a hot dog was, and they did a great job playing along. It was pretty fantastic. But anyway, we go on over towards where the Mayflower is docked, or the replica of the Mayflower is docked, and we climb up on board, and we heard this story, and I'll never forget this story, but we heard the story of the first pack rat to come to America. Yes, indeed, this man was on the Mayflower and brought along with the very limited amount of items that you could bring on a boat with 151 people. And by the way, I mean, this thing's tiny. I'm like, how did you do this? How did you, for 3 months? I mean, they came over like, I think it was a month and a half, and they stayed in the harbor for like a month while some huts were being put up, and just the excruciating weather they survived is incredible. What vision, right? But the first pack rat, so in the limited amount of things they could actually bring on board, one of the founding fathers, if you will, brought this printing press through. And as you know, the whole separatist movement started based on state regulations on what you could say religiously and what you could print religiously. And so coming to the New World was an opportunity to print and to evangelize, as we all know. So he packs this printing press, parts of the printing press. And one of the main parts of a printing press is the screw. And so halfway through the voyage, they get caught up in a storm. And if you know anything about like the older type of boats, which I've done limited amount of study, some of you on this call could probably set the record straight on several things I'm saying here. But the main gist is our big ocean liners today actually sit across like 3 or multiple waves, whereas the boats back then would go between waves, like they weren't big enough, long enough. And so and you didn't have engines. So the only way that you could actually make it across the ocean, your life depended on this, were your sails. And in a storm, when the wind kicked up, you would lower the sails, you would roll them up, you'd tie them down because you could be driven way off course very quickly with those massive gusts of wind. So to ride out a storm was one thing, but also to unfurl those sails and to use the wind to your advantage to steer the ship was another thing. Well, during a storm, that literally almost capsized the ship. That literally the ship would go down. It would go up and down, ride these waves, and the buoyancy of the ship was so important. But it would crash into the wave because of the air inside the ship. I mean, talk about all pilgrims down below deck getting soaked, getting drenched. But it would come back up like a bobber. And during one of the massive rolls, it would literally roll on its side. In one of those rolls, the main mast broke. And in that breaking, the sailors panicked. They said, "We're going to be lost at sea. We will never make it out of the ocean." And what would happen is even after the storm let up, a ship without a sail was like a bobber on the ocean, and you would wash up wherever the ocean determined and the wind determined because you were directionless. You couldn't catch the wind anymore. No sail. Well, the pack rat founding father went and dug around in his belongings and found this printing press screw. And he brought it up to the ship captain, and through hook and crook, they were able to wedge this screw between masts. They had another piece of something wood, and they sashed it all together. They were able to fix the sail of the Mayflower and make it to Plymouth. Now, why do I tell this silly story? Because a lot of people, they've experienced that storm. They've come out of the storm and the mast is broken. And I want to encourage you today. I want to encourage you. We have to repair the mast. We have to hoist the sail again. See, here's the thing. Your sail is your vision. Without the sail, without a vision, you are a ship of boards. You are a bobber in the ocean, and your goals will become a vicious cycle for you. Your goals may give you that sense of satisfaction that you check something off a to-do list, but who did you become? What did you create? Who is now benefiting at a larger scale based on what you did? See, these are the vision questions that our goals have to be tied to. So the goals, if we want to use the ship analogy, are the boards of the ship. Absolutely essential. You could not survive an ocean without the boards. They give you buoyancy. And all the pitch between the boards, it creates buoyancy. But you're directionless without the sail, and the sail's the vision. The sail gives you direction. It puts direction to your goals. And so I share the story so that we can see how it's not one or the other. I know some people are so high in the sky, they dream big things, and they lack any form of execution, and their whole life is a dream. And then I see people who work so hard, day in, day out. They kill, they slay, they execute. They're just constantly go, 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 go. And their only satisfaction at the end of a 5-year, 3-year, 10-year period is that they worked hard. But I was like, what were you building? Who did you become in the process? Did you become sweeter, more gracious, more connected? Did you build something to give? Did you leverage something? Did you scale something? These are the questions we have to ask now, ahead of time, so then our goals are aligned with vision. So it brings us to the James Allen quote that says, "Dream lofty dreams, and as you dream, so you shall become. Your vision is the promise of what you shall one day be. Your ideal is the prophecy of what you shall at last unveil." This quote hit me between the eyes when I was a 25-year-old, and most of you know the story. I had a wake-up call at 25. Let me back up just a little bit. I was asked the other day by an attorney in Richmond. Great guy. I respect him highly. We've built a relationship. We were out to lunch. And he said, "Tim," he's like, and you know, I don't talk about, he's very close to his dad, and he talked about his dad and quite a bit actually. And he asked me, he says, "Tim, like, where does your dad live? Is he an attorney? And like, is he in this industry?" Like, I had never dug into my backstory and with him. And I was like, no, he's not actually. And he's like, "Huh, where does he live?" And I told him where he lived. He's like, okay, so were you guys like raised down in Florida? I'm like, no, dad ended up down there and, kind of by himself in the world. And he's like, no, no kid. And I was like, yeah, man. I said, listen, I respect and love my dad so much. I've found a lot of healing in that. But I was like, I said, you probably wouldn't believe me if I told you that as a teenager, you know, 17 years of age, there were doubt like in my brain, there were doubts of me even making it past that age, if you know what I mean. And he's like, what do you mean? I'm like, seriously, I wanted to end things. I had physical abuse all my life growing up. Had no hope for like literally at 17 feeling like there was no hope, like lost hope. He's like, seriously, dude? I'm like, seriously. I said, if not for the grace of God and some really, really good mentors in my life, I probably wouldn't even be here. And I told him, I started telling him a little bit of the story. He's like, man, he's like, you need it. You need to tell people. You need to share this. And I was like, listen, I try to respect my dad. I try to respect the past and those who are still around from my past. And he's like, yeah, but man, you need to share some of this because he said, I know this. I know this kid. He comes from a really good family, but he's like lost his way and like that would affect him. And I know this. And he's like, that's the thing. He's like, you got to share. I'm like, hmm. So I made a promise to him recently. I said, you know what? I'm going to share this vision training. I usually don't dig deep, but I said I'm going to share. I'm going to share that at the age of 24. I was working a job. I would get all the awards at work. If there was an award to be had, I'd go get it. And it was for nobody else but me. Such a selfish existence. I mean, my wife was on bed rest with our third kid. Everything on the surface was like everyone, great family, beautiful family, amazing, hardest worker on the team. And I was so empty. I was so empty. I had so much to prove to the world. I had so much to prove to myself. I had everything to prove to my dad. No healing, just massive holes inside, and all of everything I did running out those holes. No peace, no vision. See, vision is who you are, vision is who you're becoming. And when you look in the mirror in the morning, like, listen, I'm not talking about looking in the mirror and sizing yourself. I'm saying, what a stud. No, none of this. I'm talking about looking in the mirror with a healthy appreciation of the creature that's standing there and the calling that was put on your and my life and acceptance of this role that we have as sales professionals to change the freaking world. And we can do that, but we have to get vision right first. At 25, I had a wake-up call. At 25, I was given a gift. My older brother, did not make it past the age of 25. When I turned 25, it dawned on me. And I made him a promise that day. I said, from this day forward, not another day I live, I will see as anything else but a bonus. It's why my life quote that I jotted down in my journal that night, and it kind of morphed over time, was yesterday's gone. Tomorrow's not promised. Today is all I have. Today is a bonus. What do you do with a bonus? That's the question. And life is a gift. Life is a bonus. What are you daring to dream? We were at the Energize conference with my buddy Tom Gertie. I mean, newfound friend and like the best part of Energize for me. He said that the richest place in all of the world is the graveyard because people take their dreams, their ideas, their inventions, that they didn't find the wherewithal, the courage to speak those, to say those, to share those, to go after those. So James Allen, the father of modern psychology, says, dream lofty dreams. Somebody said the biggest problem in business is we just don't think big enough. Like it's a mindset thing, thinking big enough. This is where the vision piece comes in right here. Sometimes we see things and it's like, wow, I'm reading a book right now. 10x is easier than 2x, or is greater than 2x, easier than 2x, whatever, because to double what you're doing now takes more effort. To 10x what you're doing now takes a whole different way of thinking. This is where vision comes in. To bring this very practical real fast, when you're sitting with your clients, do you see them as another human being with visions, with dreams as well, with stuck areas in their life just like you and me, with busy calendars just like you and me, with frustrations that they can't make traction in their goals just like you and me? Like, we're all human. We're all facing the same, the things that you think are only your problems, that only you face, the habits that you're trying to form and you're falling off the wagon, failing at. You don't think I'm trying to form those too and failing miserably at as well? We all are. So when we open up about those things with each other and we're honest and authentic, that's where I believe in sales, the magic sauce starts happening because our clients are given permission, our prospective clients are given permission to open about themselves. And when your client starts opening up about their vision and where they're getting stuck, that is where you become inseparable when you can help guide them and help get them to where they're trying to go. In sales, it all starts with, for me, it always starts with what's your vision? Where do you want to be in your role? Where do you want your company to be in 3 to 5 years? What are you trying to do? What are the greatest opportunities right now? And what are the biggest challenges to those opportunities? What's your vision? Every bit of my power questions and initial discovery in sales always revolve around vision because I can see pretty quickly whether they're dreaming big or whether they're just trying to make it through. And then I can gauge from there how I can help and where we can zoom in as a company, right? So very practically, let's take this off motivational and inspirational for a second and personal into the business realm. What are your power questions for your clients? What are your go-tos? You don't have to drop these in the chat. I just want you to think. Like, what are your go-to discovery questions, power questions that if you were to make a call to a prospective client you never talked to and you actually made connection in that call, what would you ask them in that moment that would give you so much to work with? I'll tell you, if you start with vision, if you dig in around their vision, where they're headed, you might not even use the word vision, right? It may look like something different for you or how you ask it. But if you start there, it takes it to a whole new level. Dream lofty dreams. All right, let's dig in. So Wayne Dyer says, when we change the way we look at things, the things we look at change. And hopefully by 35 minutes into the presentation today, I've given us enough reason and a little bit of the psychology with it to think that, you know what, goal setting is one category and very important. And vision creating, sitting with who I'm becoming before what I'm doing, is its own category as well. It's not one or the other. It's both. It's dream big and execute. So what I like to say is this: dream big, goal smarter, then action daily. This is the 3-step framework for an energizing life vision. Because your vision will not energize you if you don't take steps in its direction. It will just be a rolled up sail. You have to unfurl the sail. And then your sail will do nothing if it's stationed to the ground. It's got to be stationed to a boat of boards. And those goals are the boat of boards we talked about. But then you have to tend to those things. You have to steer the ship. You have to row the oars. You have to unfurl the sails. Those are the daily actions. So it's a 3-prong approach. But if all 3 are there, I'll tell you, your goals don't even have to. Here's the thing. We write our goals down, but we don't write our vision down. I'll tell you, if you get a clear picture of your vision, your goals will almost take care of themselves. You'll still want to write them down, and I'll show you the steps to do this, but they'll take care of themselves. You won't have to sit there constantly remembering. No, it'll take care of itself because you define the vision first. So dream big, goal smarter, then action daily. You say, Tim, what's with the smarter? We talked about dream big. What's with the smarter? All right, let me dig into this because there's an acronym here. I didn't come up with it. But I did come up with this statement because those 3 I write about extensively in my book, Got Energy, in the perspective section of the book. And it's so very, very powerful. But I like the SMARTER acronym. Who's heard of like SMART goals? SMART, SMART goals, right? I think we all have. But I like the SMARTER acronym better. Awesome, Zoya. Yep, good. So I like SMARTER better because SMARTER kind of gets it done in a little bit deeper way. But anyway, let's dig in real quick to, actually, you know what? Yeah, let's dig into the RAS activation of your brain real quick. So why do we say dream bigger or dream big? Because I think if we dream small, we don't really activate our brain. So dream big for me, like, I'm not talking about like, what's the biggest thing I can think of for myself or my family? Like, what's the biggest thing out there? The big word isn't necessarily go big or go home. Okay. Not at all. Dream big is more about do it in a big way. Okay. Your dream may be so small to somebody else, but the biggest thing for you right now. Okay. I want you to pull out all the stops. That's what I mean. Dream big, pull out all the stops. So when we look at the human brain, a little bit of science, I promise today, the neuroscience. If you all have heard about the RAS filter, it's called the reticular activating system. And right down here in the bottom of the brain, there's basically a filter. And basically, the goal of this filter is to keep you alive. If you didn't have this filter, then everything happening around you, including this crazy guy on the screen, would freak your brain out, and you would die. You would literally you'd over your whole body would your like the nervous system wouldn't work. Everything would shut down. Like, okay, that's as brutal of an attempt as I can make at this neuroscience. But the RAS filter filters unnecessary noise out so you can focus on living and doing what's in front of you. Okay. So, for instance, if I was in front of the room right now, which a lot of you guys on here, your names, you were at Energize. Okay. The whole day, I saw none of you dive under the table. None of you dove under the table. Why? And I was waving this black object around all day long, and all the speakers were too, the clicker. Well, because you're in a conference room or a ballroom and you're at a conference, and every speaker always has a clicker, right? But if you were on a plane where TSA is constantly in the speaker reminding you to keep your luggage with you at all times and keep it, and if you see something, say something, and you've gone through TSA and they've searched everything and you're like looking at everybody around you as if they're suspicious, you know what I mean? You're in a different environment. And if somebody walked past you with a black clicker in their hand, I guarantee you would look twice. You would look twice because a black cylindrical shape in an airport is a massive threat because your RAS filter is propped way open because of all the stimuli around you reminding you to keep it propped open for anything looking suspicious. Okay. But in a conference, your RAS filter for that black cylindrical shape, your RAS filter is slammed way shut. You do not need to identify that. You don't even need to look at it. It's just part of the surroundings. Okay. If you are energized, David Bravo talked about the RAS filter. He and I have been talking about RAS for a long time. He probably longer than me. But he talked about the car. Why is it that after you buy a car, you see it everywhere? Because you have not only given yourself permission to see the car, you've now sat in the car, smelled the car, driven the car. You have told your RAS filter, stay way open, stay propped open. Like you're not even closing on this one. You ever turn on like a bathroom vent and then when you turn it off, you heard that little, the vent closes. It's not allowing the backwash of air come through, right? That's kind of like your RAS filter. You turn it on at times, you turn it off at times. But when you go buy something, okay, you put this thing into your life, the RAS filter stays open. It doesn't close. And so guess what? You look around town and you see every one of those cars because it's now lodged permanently in your brain. It's why trauma is so de-energizing to our vision in our life because it's something that is in there. It happened. It's a core memory. It's in there. And so when you try to let something in that somebody when you were young told you you could not be or you did not deserve to be, or they treated you in a way that your psyche is sitting there going, I can't earn this amount. I can't have that size of a client. I can't talk to the CEO. I can't call on the CFO. I can't talk to I can't have this line. I can't speak. It's something in a core memory that's literally trying to force that RAS filter shut for you. So while we go set goals, if we don't go address the RAS filter first, the goals are meaningless because the RAS filter's shut. And that's what a vision does. A vision helps us envision what's possible. Did you know that it's why homelessness is hard to overcome? Because the person who's homeless, or the person who's in poverty, I should say, maybe we'll start with poverty. The person in poverty, you guys on this call, you've sold $2 million homes. You've given a loan, written a loan for, way upwards of, maybe you did a $10 million loan recently. And those are your clientele. So for you to take your family into a nice part of town and buy that luxury home that you dreamed about, it might not be such a heavy lift for your brain because you're in this You're in this industry, you see it happening all the time. But then we might take from our perspective and look out at somebody in poverty and say, come on, man, believe it for yourself. You can do this. But that's never been inserted in their brain. They can't see it. Their RAS filter's shut. Makes sense? So it's why poverty is so hard to overcome. It's why homelessness is hard to overcome. It's why they call it a mental illness. It's what you believe for yourself. So the RAS filter's so important. And it's why we say dream big. You have to do whatever it takes to prop your RAS filter open. And I'm going to end the call today showing you exactly how, scientifically and proven, how you can prop your RAS filter wide open for the things you're trying to do. So dream big, pull out all the stops to making it happen, and prop that door, that filter open. All right. Now let's dig into goals for a second. So vision, dream big, goal smarter. Joe Vitale says a goal should scare you a little and excite you a lot. This is my litmus test for my goals. And here's the hardest thing. If you're on, so we talked about like maybe last year was like terrible and you went through all sorts of things. Let's talk about somebody on the call whose year was great. Okay. This is why goal setting sometimes for like successful people is a little bit harder, because maybe goal setting, you kind of fall into the rhythm. You know what works for you. Maybe you're at the top of your game. Maybe you're the top sales producer in your company. But you know what's possible. You know the thing you really want to go after, but you won't. Okay. That's why this is my litmus test. I have people all the time. Oh man, you wrote a book. Oh yeah, you did this. I'm like, yeah, let me tell you about the book I'm writing right now that I'm falling down on. Okay. Let me tell you about my next book that's supposed to happen already, and it's not. Okay. Don't put me up on some pedestal because I wrote a book. No, I had a lot of good people around me helping me get there. But let me tell you about the one I'm doing now that I keep falling down on. That's what's more like, okay, I can rest on the book I wrote. Fine. I don't want to, right? So only you know. You know what's next for you. You know what the next level is for you. Or maybe you don't, and maybe that's what's scaring you. Maybe you don't know what the next level looks like, and you think you have to go it all alone to figure it out. You don't. There are good people around you. There are questions you can ask. There are mindsets that you can challenge to get to the next level. So this is my litmus test for goals. A goal should scare you a little and excite you a lot. All right? Where are you at? Where are you at? Only you know. Only you know. All right, here's the SMARTER acronym. So when you have your vision, okay? So here's who I am becoming. All right, let's break this down for a second. I know goals. I know this gets overused. The whole weight loss thing is always a big goal for a lot of people, and I think it's overused, but you know what? Let's just go with it for a minute. So a goal might be, I'm going to lose 30 pounds. I'm going to lose 30 pounds by April the 1st. And if I don't get it by April the 1st, April Fool's on me, right? No, I'm just kidding. But you know what? That's typically a goal. I'm going to do this amount, specific amount by this time. That's good. That's a goal. So let me tell you what the vision would be of that goal. See, a lot of people just start with a goal, but the vision has to be, who am I becoming? So let me tell you about my goal, right? I'm a runner. I run. People think I like to run. I don't. Okay. I have back issues. Recently, I modified my goal from being marathons to being half marathons. I love traveling, so I've combined that with I want to run a marathon in every state, which is now I want to run a half a marathon in every state. So that's the I want to. Now I'm going to. So the vision is, okay, is it I'm a runner? No. You know what the vision is? I'm an active, healthy, fit grandpa. That's the vision. I am, okay? It's positive, personal, present tense, and then I like to say powerful. 4 P's. Positive, personal, present, powerful. All right. What will excite you? It's got to be powerful. It's got to be present. I am. You're telling your brain who you are. And even if it's becoming that over the next 10 years, I am. I am a healthy, active, fit grandpa. Why? Because I want to be around for my grandkids. Got a daughter driving this year. Believe it? It's crazy. But I want to be a healthy grandpa. I might change that once I have grandkids. I'll have to up the ante. I'll have to say great grandpa. But for now, it's grandpa because I already have kids and I'm already pretty healthy and active and fit. I just don't want to rest in that. So it's for grandpa. It's like now I'm like, it's taking my brain 10 years down the road, or maybe sooner, maybe sooner. So think about that. What's the vision? I am. It's who I'm becoming. It's what I'm doing. It's the being of me. Now, the goal may be, hey, I've gotten out of shape a little bit. Or, hey, I've got a half marathon in May I got to train for, right? So I'm going to run this amount every day. So 4 times a day, 3 miles a day, or I'm sorry, 4 times a week, 3 miles at each of those events. And if I want to run longer as I get closer, that's great. But I know if I do 3 miles 4 times a week, I can run half a marathon. That's it. So for me, I now have a daily goal, but specific. What's the specific goal you want to achieve? Okay. I want to run half a marathon in May. Okay. Measurable. How will you measure the goal? How will you know if you're progressing? How will you know if you've achieved it? This is the measurable. How will I know if I achieved it? I will have completed and earned the finisher's medal. Okay. Achievable. Can you achieve the goal, right? If I'm in a wheelchair, I'm going to have to, I'm like, my life is locked down to a wheelchair. I know a buddy who does Special Olympics all the time. Or he's doing the marathons. He's like in the wheelchair. He has to plan his whole life out around that. So is it achievable for you? Relevant. How important is the goal to you? Is it relevant to your values and to get you towards your purpose? So this is where a lot of goals fall down because people are like, what's the relevancy? So here's the other thing. I used to set goals as a young guy, as I got my, was getting my life like figured out and I had the wake up call at 25. I started setting goals. And what I forgot to do was incorporate the most significant people in my life in that goal setting phase. And so then what happened was all this conflict started happening because I was afraid. It was on me. It's on nobody else. Like I can victimize I could like blame everybody else and victimize myself. The problem was it wasn't anybody else's fault. I was in miscommunication with bosses, with my spouse, with others, and your life will become this disruptive. And you're like, I should be supporting my goals. Well, have you had the courage to go show the relevancy of that goal to all of the most important people in your life? I'll share a really big one that caused almost a loss of a job for me once was I decided to go back to school. Now, while my boss had encouraged me to think smarter, not just work harder, and he had instilled in me some books, and he was a great boss. I worked for him for 10 years. Halfway through, I was 5 years in, I decided to go back to school. And I did 2 years online, non-trad, because our family did not grow up with college. We were blue collar, you work hard, you pay your bills, and you rent. That was our life. That was what we were taught. And it was not a bad teaching. We grew up on a farm, learned to work hard. But my boss was like, work smarter, not harder. Gave me a book, started reading the book, started growing, started learning. And I thought, man. So I went through this one coach, and he's like, big, hairy, audacious goal, big, hairy, audacious goal. I'm like, I want to go to college. I want to graduate college. And then it freaked me out. How do I even do that? So I had to research, had some good help getting in, but I did 2 years online from a nationally accredited school. And in those 2 years, I almost tanked it all because here I am, 2 o'clock in the morning, trying to turn in exams and paperwork and still hold down a job. And I thought if I communicate this or if I share what I'm doing, then it's going to put a strain. I might not get the promotions that I want. I might not. And I got into all this garbage in my head. Why? Because I didn't feel like I was worthy. I had to come to Jesus, me and my boss, tell him why I showed up late one day, tell him how sleep was like a missing component of my life. I had to break down and tell him. And when I did, you know how much support he unleashed behind me? It was crazy. So that's where the relevancy has to fit, not just your vision, but also the roles you're in today. The roles you're in today. Time bound is much easier because it's time bound. What's the end date? Now, I will just give everybody some grace here because I've had to learn to give myself grace in this, and I fall down on this way too much. I'm very hard on myself, as most of you are probably way too hard on yourself. So I just want to give you all a moment to just take a deep breath. Okay? All right. You have some sales goals right now, guaranteed. You've entered in this year, you've budgeted numbers for this year, you have some sales goals. And what you've done is you've attached some of this time boundedness to things outside of your control. Yeah, there's other people involved. Okay. So here's where I want to back up on the goals a little bit. If you said, I want to sign this many new clients this year, you may not have dug deep enough into that goal. Here's why. You're putting all of the power for that goal's accomplishment in those clients. What I would rather have you do, and what I've done as a sales professional for years, and I coach around this, is what are the steps to getting that new client? What are the steps? What will it take? What do you have to do different? What new questions do you need to be asking? What new drive cycle do you need to do so you could fit more of those pop buys in? Like whatever, like what are the steps? Now go say, my goal is I'm going to do these steps consistently through that date. And then the result of that should be. And if those steps will get you 10, then let's go up those steps a little bit so that you can ensure maybe there's 15 and give yourself the out on 5. Does that make sense? So like the steps I can control, right? We'd all agree the steps I can control. The result, their feedback, the outcome, I can't always control. This also has to work with weight because some people say they've never worked out a day in their life or they want to lose all this weight. Now I'm going to lose 50 pounds by. And they get so crazy hard on themselves or down on themselves when they don't even start shedding 1 or 2 by 3 weeks in and Blue Monday hits because it's not working. Did you know sometimes your body has to take at least 30 to 60 days just to kind of wake up to a new metabolism or to wake up to new activity? So here's what I want to do with the time-bound thing. I love this quote. It says, the outcome is not your responsibility. The obediences are. So when you're setting goals, what are the obediences? What are the things you can actually do and go be obedient to? The things that you decide on, and then you absolutely commit not to cheat on yourself. That's what you can do. So I'd rather see a goal around, I'm going to drink a gallon of water every day. I'm going to exercise 3 times this week. I'm going to take a walk 2 times this week. I'm going to stand or get a standing desk and stand for 3 hours of my workday. I stand for at least half of my workday. During the winter months when it's frigid cold, we kind of shuttle into several rooms of the house where we kind of keep the heat. We have an older house and a fireplace. We kind of keep the heat. But at the end of the day, stand. Can you just, those are the things I can go be obedient to. And I know that if I do that long enough, the metabolism kicks in and then count the calories. Like I will end eating at this amount of calories, right? So those sorts of things we can control. The 50 pounds by May 1st or April 1st, don't get so tied to that specific. Be specific with the thing that's going to get you to that vision or that end result. Does that make sense? All right. Enough on SMART. Now, evaluate. This is key. Every 90 days, be evaluating your goals. Where are you ending up? What are you becoming? Is it working for you? Did this goal work out? Are you getting any response from those prospective clients? It's not working. Let's change something. I've been emailing. All right, we need to go jump in that Energy for Sales training in March that Tim's going to talk about sequencing and using all sorts of touches, whatever. I'm shameless plug, but no, evaluate. Okay, evaluate. I like to evaluate quarterly on my big goals. I like to evaluate monthly. Like just take a little snapshot of how did the month go on like my daily habits and what I'm doing in a day. All right. And what I need to change. And then the R. Okay. Please do this. Please do this year. Make 2025 your best year yet by rewarding yourself. If you drink a gallon of water for every day this month, at the end of the month, like don't reward yourself with a Coke. Like there are plenty of great rewards out there that you don't have to go do the exact opposite of what you were doing because that's just going to like reinstall bad behavior. But like you're drinking water or you're drinking less coffee and then water, maybe do that 1 extra coffee or maybe you go out to a fun coffee shop or maybe, listen, you drink water all month long. Maybe you get to go a day to the beach or something and like put your feet in the ocean and just like drink in like how important water is to this whole globe and to us as a human. 70-80% of our body is made up of water. Like Do something that's going to absolutely just reward you for that goal and cement that goal into your brain. But you got to reward yourself. So that's the smarter acronym. Now, let's talk about day action daily. So we talked about dream big, goal smarter, now action daily. Here's my quote. Yesterday's gone. Tomorrow's not promised. Today is all we have, and it's a bonus. How are you going to action daily? I want to share this story and a habit. So, real quick. Um, excuse me, got a little tickle. Let me do a little swig of coffee. That's why I love speaking with somebody like Andrew or David or other people that I bring on. So I'm just like, Andrew, what are your thoughts on that? To grab a drink. Um, no, but a great pause is good too, because you guys can think and drop anything in the chat, any questions. We're coming up on the question time anyway, so drop any questions you have in the chat as we wrap this thing in the next 10 minutes. But Charles Schwab was the first person to earn $1 million in a year. He's known to have a salary of $1 million or have earned $1 million, and he was a consultant, and he was made famous by Andrew Carnegie, who, the baron of the steel mills, if you will, and he brought him in because he was at a point in his company where he was kind of up against the ceiling. He felt he was kind of plateaued. He wanted to go to the next level, and Charles Schwab came in and he spent like an hour with Andrew Carnegie, and he gave him a tip. He said, "Here's what I want you to do." He said, "You're managing all these things." And Andrew, he was kind of frustrated. He said, "I get in," and he said, "It just feels like I'm just putting out fires all day long. I've got all these managers, all these people. I just feel like I'm putting out fires all day long, and I can't get the things that I know are going to move our business forward done." And he said he has all this stuff, and he said, "Here's what I want you to do. I want you to take a 3x5 card, and I want you to write the three most important things on that 3x5 card that will move your company forward. And in the morning, and I want you to arrange them by priority for you. And in the morning, no matter what happens, start at number one and do not move off of number one until it's done. And then move to number two and do not start on anything else or what. And if you get distracted, if you can't delegate it, if you can't say no to it, if it can't wait to a different time, then you go address it, but you come right back to number two. Don't shift to anything else. And then when you're done with number two, get to number three." He said that Andrew Carnegie, he said, and then he told Andrew, he said, "Here's what you'll do." He said, in return, he said, "I want you to do this for 90 days. And then he said, and then you pay me for what you feel like this has been worth to you." And so Andrew does it for 90 days. It took him about 90 days plus. It actually ended up, I think, their book I read, the story that it was shared in this book, was like, it took him close to like a year to actually get this habit down. Like, that's how hard it is, guys. And imagine back in the early 1900s when technology wasn't at our fingertips. They still had the carbon paper. No, I don't think they had carbon paper back then, like coming off the fax machine for the order of steel. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they didn't have that, but they didn't have all the distractions we have. And here, like, Mark Zuckerberg has hacked our brain, and like Google's hacked our brain, and now AI's hacked our brain. And like, we got all these plugins. Like, we're like this, I don't know. It's all these plugins and all these distractions just hammering us at all times. So why one of these trainings we're going to do hack back your brain, and we're going to talk about how to become indistractable. If that's interesting to you, let me know. But it's so powerful. It's all about being time boxed and all about being super focused on highest and best priorities. But anyway, so it took him about a year to get this habit under control. Imagine what. Let me put it like this. Don't get discouraged when trying to be productive in your day on the big things that matter doesn't go your way for a little while. Stick to it. Be perseverant. So anyway, back to Andrew Carnegie. He finally gets this ad for 90 days. He finally starting to get the hang of this. He writes a check for $25,000 to Charles Schwab. And back then that was like, I think it's the equivalent of probably 100,000 today. And again, Charles was the first person to make $1 million in a year. Like, why? What's saying? Like, that little bit of advice unlocked so much for the steel baron of the day, Andrew Carnegie. So with that being said, obviously we've changed a little bit. We've cycled through, and we're here in the 2020s, right? And it's crazy and all this plug-in, and we have a lot going on. Okay, we have a lot. And many of us manage several offices, or we manage several things or functions. Some of us are settlement officer and business development. Some of us are loan officer and our own assistant right now because our other assistant, excuse me, just went on maternity leave. So we're covering, I coach people all the time who have multiple roles they're filling. So here's what I would recommend all of us doing. At the end of every day, every work day, write down the 6 most important things you need to accomplish tomorrow. Do not write down more than 6. So again, you can see we've doubled that since the early 1900s. But prioritize those 6 items in order of their true importance. When you arrive tomorrow, concentrate on the first task. Just turn on, like somebody pings you, can you do this real quick for me? Don't stop. Get to that later. You can do 30 minutes of focused get out of email jail. Unless it's urgent, closing about to happen, you know it's urgent, and you have to come up with a very strict guideline for what is truly urgent, because our brain thinks everything's urgent, especially after the refi boom, especially after the pandemic era. We have literally trauma from like urgent everything, right? So just be mindful. And then don't move to the second till you finish the first. And then do the rest of the list in the same fashion. And then anything you didn't complete, move to tomorrow and repeat. Add to that list to make it 6, rearrange them in order, and then start over. Now, here's a very practical hack for every one of you. I want you to think about your pillow. Is it soft? Is it feather? Like, is it filled with feathers? Like, what is your pillow? Okay, think about your pillow. Think about your pillow sham, your case. Are your initials embroidered on the pillowcase? Like, what does that look like when you pull the comforter back and your pillow's there? Like, really, do you see your pillow? I'm trying to do a little exercise, like, we'll stick with you here. You got it? Okay, everyone got their pillow? Okay. Before you lay your head, you said, Tim, I'm at a hotel tonight. I don't even know. All right, which hotel? If it's Hyatt, you got the best pillows on the planet. I'm kidding. I'm a Hyatt member. But anyways, think about your pillow. Okay, so tonight, when you go to your pillow, I want you to take your phone out and I want you to text yourself. Okay. We're all mobile. If you want to do this on a hard paper and pen, like hardcore paper and pen for me, Tim, then do paper and pen. But very practically for me, this is how it works. And it actually helps me sleep better and wake up more energized. So here it is. When you go look at your pillow, I want you to think about this conversation because I said pillow like 100 times now. Pull out your phone, send yourself a text message. Trust me, your spouse will ask you, who are you texting? Okay. It'll happen for the first few nights till we get into this rhythm. And it's like, I'm texting myself. But here's the thing. How many of us look at our phone when everyone else texts us and it's like we jump through hoops for everybody else, but we'll put something on our calendar for us and we'll cheat on ourselves. So here's what I want us to do to get into the habit of doing. Text yourself at the end of the day, your top 6 things for tomorrow that need to get done. Those are the things that are urgent in your brain. And you need to be like this. You need to be honest with yourself, just like I have to be with me. Is this actually important? Should I delegate this? Is it something I should even be doing? Will this thing that makes the top 6, will it actually move my life and business forward? That's the question. Write it down, then move to the next, move to the next. Just dump. And if you end up with 10 for now, and you're going to maybe delegate a few of those things, just dump for now. Just get in the habit of texting yourself. Hit send. Don't read the text. Go put your phone on the coffee counter with your alarm and your coffee ready to go, whatever you get in the morning, your water jug, whatever. Put it out on the coffee counter and then go to bed and get a good night's sleep. When you wake up tomorrow morning, you will probably have some other messages waiting on you, but you'll have a love note from yourself. Okay. That's going to hold you on track to the life that you've envisioned. All right. So dream big, goal smarter, action daily. These actions have to be tied to your goals that drives your vision. Okay. Now, as we wrap this up, Marcus Aurelius said, the things you think about determine the quality of your mind, and your soul takes on the color of your thoughts. So you say, Tim, I love the action daily. Tim, I love goal smarter. And then you say, but Tim, vision, how do I build that out? How do I start? I want to give you a framework that you can take home. And if you want this handout, like, let me know, I'll send it to you. But I take live audiences through actually building out their vision. And you guys can do this either this evening or maybe in one morning over coffee. You can do this and start it and then just start adding to this throughout the next month. But here's what I would encourage you to do. Go put your vision down on paper. And here's how we do it. I'm going to skip this exercise. If we're in person, we'll do this exercise, but you can't do this on your own. Okay. Here's what we're going to do though. I'm going to share a quick story. I'm going to share my vision board. This is my first vision board. I've since had three others. I actually just went out on a vision retreat with my wife up to Ohio, and we put a vision together, and both independently, but also like married up to see where their overlaps are. And it was amazing. It's beautiful. But this is my first vision, and I want to share a quick story because um, like if you look down at the my personal 2016 BHAG down there at the bottom, this was published Time for Energy book. That was my big BHAG. I had no clue how to get there. And then I had one of my buddies who was like good at like my back when like we didn't even have Canva back then, but like he took my head and cut it out of a picture. Like I was like, I think I was like, I forget what the picture was like, a company picnic, and I forget what I was doing, a bowling ball in my hand or something, or one of those big like beat 'em up balls or something. But anyway, I was like, and he took that picture from like a company photo and then put it on this like jumpy picture and then wrote Time for Energy and gave it to me like as a because again, I had shared my vision. My vision board was on my wall. And so anyway, he gave me this little cutout. And so I actually wrote with Sharpie pages. And then every time I did a page and I told the people at work, if you don't see this like chalking up, feel free to ask me about it. So it was like kind of building that accountability around my vision. But anyway, and then I ended up going to like a book summit, and then I had another a Nashville event that I went and did, and finally got connected with the right people who helped me get across the finish line. But anyway, it was like everything started coming to me. Like I just had this book in front of me every day on a board, my BHAG, and then this book that he put the head on the body, and I was like, did I write today? Nope, I didn't. Tonight I'm going to open that Word doc back up and start writing some more. I ended up writing so much material and gathering up so much material that once I went to the book summit, this publisher like helped me arrange it, and it ended up being 4 books. I cheaped out with the cheap option, put it all in one. It's way too big of a book. If you go find Got Energy on Amazon, like you can get it, or you can just like email me and I'll send it to you. But it is being republished, like literally, and it's incredible. And I've had so much feedback from it saying like, I read chapter 7 and literally reclaimed my worth. I read chapter 6 and literally it saved my life. I read chapter 23 and finally wrote the letter of forgiveness. Like, so I know like, oh man, but like now what's the next level for me? Like it's the republish. And then the book I'm working on right now called Live Timeless. And so like I've had to like not just rest on my old, like, okay, I got there. I'm like, no, put these new things on my vision board for this year, right? So again, always leveling up. But let me tell a quick story. So I told you we grew up like more renting and all that. So when I put my vision board together back in 26, or I think it was 2015, and the BHAG landed on there the next year to actually get my book published. But and I added to this one for like 3 years, by the way. But I put up there, I wanted to have Jen's and my home paid off. And we had our first home at the time. And so I put our home up there. And then if you see right in position to below on the top left corner of the screen, I put a second home. And at the time, my mom ended up being by herself in the world. And so I put that on there. And, you know, I was contributing towards her rent, as were a lot of my siblings every month. And while I'm trying to like pay down mine, and then also making like everything around that, like I wanted to be debt free, was like I put myself into this training with my wife, all about financial peace. And then while everything on the training wasn't something that we would do, we learned so much from it. And then from there, we went into like we were looking to upgrade our house, but we're like, what if we did it different? What if we went into like a really good spot in the neighborhood, but got an older house that we could fix up because my hobby's like remodeling. And so I was like, we could fix it up and then we could sell it for a lot when we get ready. Sure enough, that's what we did. We went and we bought, we updated, we upgraded, and ended up hitting from like a 2014 to a 2018, and then 2018 to like it was just starting to really warm up, and then we sold it and like made a lot. And so then we moved in and like we were like debt free. It was like just a couple of moves, like literally these dreams are like dreams, but only usually 3 to 5 years down the road, oftentimes. So anyway, we say all that to say the refi boom hits, and here we are in a posture of like debt free in this. And I was like, hey, wouldn't it be cool to be able to go buy? And at the same time, we wanted to retire her mom. And so not only did the one house on the vision board, you know, for my mom turn into like our house being debt free, but also I'm like, what if we what if we bought the place next door? It was like this beautiful brick building, but like nobody lived there and it was all like terrible inside. Like, what if we bought this place next door and we refinanced? We did that, like bought that one free and clear, and then like took some of the refinance as well on ours, like maybe half of the equity, refinanced, bought that one free and clear, and then put like a really good massive down payment on one for my mom. And we're like, and then we got some of the siblings involved, and it became more of a family thing and this gift for my mom, and it like, turned out to be this beautiful thing. Like all of that was possible. And I'm telling you, like, this wasn't in our cards. This was not in our family's tree. This is not, my dad's not an attorney in Richmond. Like, I'm telling you guys this, it's all because, and I will attribute this to my boss brought in a coach to our workplace back in 2015. We did a dinner and a vision board night, and my wife came and she put her vision board together. And I looked over there, and at the time, we had two kids. And I knew we wanted, like she said, we're going to have two or four. But then she goes and cuts out this picture out of the catalog and puts four kids on her vision board. I'm like, I looked over at her. I'm like, really? She's like, really? I'm like, okay. Like, we're going to have four kids. Like, and so I put four kids on my, like, it's just the communication around it, the declaration around it, the permission around it. And it's like, at the end of the day, you're not like, some people are like, well, this feels so like self-serving. Well, let me help you with that, because I do know a lot of vision board retreats that I've been on. It's like, go make $1 million, go do this, go do that. And you're putting all these things, the RV, the boat, the stuff. And I'm like, is that really who you want to become? So that's why I start with vision, dream big. Who do you want to become? Because if you think about that as your guiding light, then your vision board can be a true essence of the whole person. And so here's what I would do. I would encourage you guys to take a piece of paper or maybe 2 pages in your journal, draw a line down the middle, and then draw a line across those 2 pages. So now you have your journal lane open. You have 2 pages, a line down the spine and a line down the middle of 2 pages. And then in the top left, and you guys can take notes or you can email me, I'll send these to you. But in the top left quadrant, I want you to write body. So everything that I see typically on a vision board, when I'm around the retreats that are done around these things, a lot of the pictures, a lot of the things people put on the vision board have to do with the body, which is great. We're in a body, like we are in a mortal body, okay? And a lot of things matter to this body for us to live. A house, a car, how we get from point A to point B, like that matters. The money we make, the fitness of our body, how it feels, how we wake up and feel, that all matters. But that's all body. That's the top left. You can't live outside of your body. You got to live with your body. It might as well be as good of experience as you can make it and as God allows. So body goes in the top left. And here's what Stephen Covey says about the body. You have a need to live. So body dash need to live. Write that down. Now the top right, okay? Well, let's go to the bottom. Let's go to the bottom left. So on the bottom left, we're going to write mind. Mind. So if you have like maybe a book, a reading goal, or a learning goal, or a back to school goal, or a new certification goal, or anything about your mind and growing your mind, it's going to go in this quadrant. Okay? And you can start by writing down words for things, but I highly encourage you to take what you write in your journal and translate that into either a poster board or go on Canva and put one together digital and then make it your phone cover screen, whatever. But get the vision out. Get the vision out, okay? But for mind, Stephen Covey says it this way. The mind has a need to learn. The mind has a need to learn, okay? And then the top right, we're going to put heart. Okay, heart. Heart. Need to love. Need to love. And this is where your kids, your loved ones, your community, maybe a trip you want to take with somebody to give them an experience, maybe your spouse, your significant other, whatever the case may be, that's where your heart's going to go. Maybe you're like single and you're young and you're like, I want to like marry the man of my dreams or marry the woman of my dreams, whatever the case may be for you, maybe that's where that goes. And you don't know who that looks like, but you know what it looks like or what you don't want it to look like. And you can start there, start envisioning. You'll be surprised. You'll be surprised what you get invited to, the conversations you'll be in tune to because you first seen it. through the eye of faith. And then in the bottom right-hand corner, the spirit. That is the eternal essence of every single one of us. And Stephen Covey says it like this: the spirit has a need to leave a legacy, to leave a legacy. Okay. This will be your words. This will be the book. This will be the speech you make to the high school. This will be the essence of what you leave behind. This is what people will say. This is what they'll remember. What is that? This is your contribution. This is your service. So as you do this, now a vision board is not self-serving, because let me tell you, if you go make $1 million and you first decided who you're going to be, somebody said money doesn't make you good or bad. It just makes you more of who you are. But I feel like, and I think why a lot of people shy away from dreaming and having a vision is because sometimes we think it's permission to just go get rich or just go get whatever I want. No, not really. If we're really looking at it as a whole person vision. All right, so I just want to share that with you. I want to say for today's training, thank you. The QR code on the screen should get you into next month's training, which will be the 4th Monday. I think it's February the 24th, should pop up there. And what I was going to say about that is you can actually register one time for all months. So February 24th, March 24th, April 28th. And then there's, May, June, July, all the way through. And I think around Memorial Day, we backed that up to the 3rd Monday. And then November and December, we backed that up to the 3rd Monday as well. I would love to connect with you guys on LinkedIn. That's why I have a LinkedIn there. That's where I hang out mostly on social media. Facebook's very personal. You can shoot me a friend request there. But LinkedIn would be great to connect. You can shoot me a direct message on LinkedIn. I check those all the time. So if you would like to have this training with your company, if you would like to, talk about maybe something outside of this training, more one of the sales topics I talked about, you're like, Tim, I'd love to have you into our company to speak. Reach out, shoot me a DM on LinkedIn, but get registered for next month's class. We're going to have a really good time digging into some of the sales fundamentals, the sequencing we're going to bring back, and a couple other things throughout March and April when it comes to specifics, some of the sales scripts to be using. We're going to dig into video on one of them. I get a lot of questions about video, and I absolute believer in video. We're going to dig into that. So it's going to be pretty powerful. Invite your real estate agents, your mortgage bankers. I'm going to stop sharing. Thanks to all of you who have stuck around for a good hour and 25 minutes. Tanya, thanks. Great question. So I'll just run through all 4 one more time. So what was the top right of the vision? So top right would have been the heart, the need to love. So top left, body, need to live. Bottom left, mind, need to learn. Top right, heart, need to love. Bottom right, spirit, need to leave a legacy. And those are so what I did was I just took a vision board idea and I applied when I was reading Stephen Covey's, I forget which one. I think it was the 7 Habits of Highly Successful People. I think it might have been First Things First. I can't remember which one of Stephen Covey's books, but I was reading that. He broke down the 4 parts of self. And as I was thinking about that along with the vision board, I was like, man, this will make a lot of sense if I had a vision around each part of self. And then I was just like, man, I could just so I drew a line on my first vision board and started moving pictures around, and it made a lot of sense. And then as I developed in each one of those categories, I just felt balanced. I thought home life was great, good foundation, no matter what went on at work. But then work life was good because I was learning and growing. And then the heart was balanced, the spirit, the contribution, staying plugged in. Have you ever been so efficient that you thought you went to church or you went to a community function? You're like, this is so inefficient. And I used to get so impatient. And I was like, chill out, Tim. You need space. You need some things in life not to be efficient. So anyway, not to get off on another rabbit trail there, but the whole parts, all 4 have just really grounded me. And it's actually very, very beautiful to apply to a vision board. So Tanya, thanks. Great job. Who else? Any other questions? We have a few minutes and I'm happy to end early. Any other questions? Was this good? Did you get something out of it? Did you feel like your kids could have learned something out of this? I oftentimes will give myself that challenge at the end of every talk. Could my kids have sat in the room and been encouraged by this? Because, let's face it, those are the things that are eternal and last. So was this good, guys? Any questions? Let me check the Q&A box too, just make sure we're good there. Oh, thanks for that. Appreciate it. Thank you. Cool. Like I said, thanks for sticking around. Um, if you guys were at Energize, you'll be getting something like would be fantastic for high schoolers. It's interesting you say that, Beth. I've done this training actually in for graduation. I've done this for like young college and career, and then I was just with some teachers up in Ohio at this vision board retreat. They're going to bring me into their big Head Start program. They're like, all of our teachers need to know this so they can encourage like the whole part of our students. So for their Head Start program, I'm going to go speak at this year. So thanks for saying that, Beth. That's awesome. Um, cool. Um, real quick, for those of you who aren't energized, because I saw several of you on here, we'll be sending out those slides and getting all those things to you by Thursday of this week. And then stay tuned for all of the next things this month. Get plugged into the Energy for Sales training for February the 24th. And then last but not least, I did just want to say thank you so very much for being on this journey. Like every month that I'm blessed to do this, like I can't believe the participant level, like the attendance grows. And I know that's you guys pushing this out to those within your company, those in your sphere. Some of you guys have said, I'm not at this spot where I can do my own event in the marketplace. So can I invite them onto this? 100%. Your real estate agents, your mortgage bankers, they belong here and I love working with them. So just want to say thank you guys for being here on the journey, for really truly being energizers. And it's really is energy for sales. Better connection equals better sales. And at the end of the day, just deeper relationships and relationships that last. I'm appreciative for you guys. Happy New Year. And I will see you next week or next month. I'm sorry.